unusual year. We wasn't able to do a lot of bush hogging, so I had to wait to the end of the year. We just got back from bush hogging. Right now the plan is to either go around over there and disc around it and burn it, or if we don't get any rain between now and then, we'll probably take a root rake and drag the grass out. That's Poor Boy 101. We weren't able to go over and bush hog and spray this year. Biggest thing for preparations this year is, I hadn't put any corn or anything out because there's so much in the woods for them right now anyway. The briars, just buds, anything, plenty of grasses, native grasses and all. So we didn't do the corn. We will once it cools off and we start losing the briars and honeysuckle and stuff like that. We'll supplement. We're actually running a 185-acre hunting lease over here. There's 5 of us on it, and it's a long, narrow strip, so we actually don't hold a lot of deer. What we do have is deer crossing our property. Our neighbors to the south like to feed them, and we got a big hunting preserve to the north of us, and I'm sure they feed them over there too. So what we're doing is catching the deer crossing our property. We try to maximize our property by planting as much food plot and skidder trails or whatever, and just have as much green stuff to maximize our efforts. And again, this fall, once everything dies off, we'll start with the corn and to try to attract deer to keep them crossing our property. Things you should know about corn is everybody loves to feed corn, but corn's really not that good for them in the summertime. Soybeans would be a better choice, and it's harder to get them started on soybeans. So what we would do was mix it half and half, and when they ran out of corn, then they'd start picking up the soybeans. Then we could go straight soybeans. The soybean, the proteins in the soybean really promotes, it helps the deer grow, and it does a little for the antlers, not as much as you'd think, but there's other things out there. Some supplements you can get for them to promote antler growth, but at where we're at, and we're not able to control or manage the deer, so we just try to keep them crossing our property. In the fall, when it does cool off, the corn's better because of the fat contents in the corn, and it'll help keep them on their feet. A deer, anytime he gets up and moves, he's burning fat. And in the wintertime, it's important to keep a layer of fat on them so they can, survive the winter. We've had everybody has mineral licks, salt licks. We went and checked ours today. I've been putting a lot more of the trace minerals, the trace mineral salt in ours. And some of the trace minerals, the calciums and some other things in there does promote the antler growth. We had 1,700 pictures on the camera since I think the end of June. And we'll check that after a while. I'm sure it's going to be mostly does, but I'm sure we'll have a few buck pictures. But you'd be surprised sometimes at what all we'll visit your salt licks. And it'll be anything from raccoons and rabbits and squirrels and deer and even coyotes, especially if you have a salt lick that holds water. If you have a salt lick that holds water and it starts getting dry, I've seen birds bathing in it, squirrels drinking out of it, rabbits drinking out of them, and deer drinking out of them too. In a couple weeks, we'll go back over to the lease over there. We got some video of the bush hogging. Some of them was pretty rough, but I think we got it cut down pretty good. But we'll go back over there and take a look, see how the grass looks, and when I think it's ready, we'll disc around the food plot. And if we have a little moisture in the woods where we won't set the entire place on fire, we'll do a little sort of controlled burn on it. And naturally, we'll start about 10 yards deep into it on the downwind side, so our fire blows back to where we've disked. And then once we get that burned out, then we can move across and start a fire and let the wind push it across to where we've already burned. That'll help keep it from getting in the woods. The company we're leasing from, they don't have anything, they don't ban burning, but they do request that we call them and let them know that we're going to burn, and we'll be sure to do that. Another company we leased from a couple years ago, they had a zero fire policy, so we were doing a lot. It was a lot closer to the house. I could run tractors up there in 15 minutes and be bush hogging or disking, so what we did there, we tried to keep them bush hog down, or we would spray them with Roundup and keep the crabgrass and some of the dog fennels and stuff like that out. And the passion flowers, they'll take one over pretty quick too.